Jo Webber, who's the CEO and one of the founders of Virtual Piggy, and she's going to be talking to us about sort of what's going on in youth and gaming, monetization, COPPA, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, thanks, Alison. Hello, everybody. It took me a while to find the room today. It's a bit of a maze in here. And also, do you remember years ago, 10 years ago, when nobody really made games for girls? They just painted the cars pink and said it was a girls' game. Look at this, Alison. Got to think about the size of women presenters as well. So, anyway, when you put these presentations together, you don't really know who's going ahead of you. So it was interesting to listen to some of the presentations before me. And I'm going to try and not be repetitive, so I may scoop over some areas. These are some statistics we got from Piper Jaffray. Piper Jaffray do an annual report on taking stock with teens. So they really monitor the trends amongst teens, mostly in the United States, but also they also have a section where they look internationally, and they start to look into Europe and also into APAC. So this most recent statistic is showing us that 79% of females and 76% of male teenagers shop and play games online in that group. And what they're doing is they are buying things, they're purchasing clothes, and they're also playing games. So you can see, you'll see today the highest group of people who access the internet on the mobile device is the teenager. So they're very well connected. Broadband is virtually everywhere now in the United States, but they're challenged. Most of the times when a kid wants to play something in a game, they have to go and get their parents' credit card. They have no way of playing. I can see this with my own kids. My kids will be playing a game, and they may want to buy something, and it may only be $1.99. Now, if they said to me, "Mum, could I have $2? I want to go and just buy this thing from a store," I'd go and give it to them. It's very easy to give them cash. But on the online world, it's not so easy. We know that this audience has money to spend. The Harris poll in 2012 estimated that the age group 5, it was actually 5 through 19, has over 200 billion. It was about 220 billion in annual spending power in the United States alone. There are about 80 million under 18s in the United States, about 30 million teenagers in the United States, and hardly any have a credit card. One of the things that was interesting was we did a survey, actually with Alison's company, that's how I first met Alison, and they did a survey for us where they went out and asked a number of parents, how much pocket money or how much allowance do you give your kids? And the results were I actually thought they were quite surprising how high it was. It went all the way from like a 10 or 11-year-old, I think, getting an average of about 20 a month, to a 15-year-old getting $80 a month was the average allowance that was given to an 15-year-old. And what we found was interesting, and also Piper Jaffray commented on this, is in times of recession, we tend to save money in certain areas, but we keep giving our kids the same allowance. So the kids seem to be somewhat recession-proof, which is kind of interesting. We also, anyone with teenagers or kids, they have time to play. And particularly with these devices, they're getting more and more ability to have a few minutes here and there where they can play games. So why is it so difficult to monetize the under 18s in a safe way? And why is there so much fraud when you start to look at under 18 payments? So these are some of the challenges. There's very low credit card penetration, so they don't have a way of actually making the purchase themselves. There's very low PayPal penetration in under 18s. There's none in Europe. You actually have to be 18 to have a PayPal account in Europe. And it's low for under 18s in the United States. There's quite a bit of friendly fraud that you see. And I'm sure you guys have seen this. Here's some examples. And I think friendly fraud happens in a number of different categories. So there was one 2 weeks ago, which is what I'd call the hilarious category. And a 14-month-old baby got hold of Dad's, I think it was an iPad, and got into eBay and actually bought a 1961 Austin Healey Sprite for £200. Now, I actually thought that kid got a good deal because, and I put a comment on the site because I just sold my 1961 Austin Healey Sprite. True, I did have a 1961, and I sold it for $9,000. So that kid got it for 200. So you can see the 14-month-old is pretty savvy. So that's, that's kind of the crazy end of it. But I think it illustrates just how, we have these devices around. They're kind of locked and loaded. If you're using something like, if you're working, you've got iTunes and apps on there, it's pretty easy for inadvertent purchases. You also get some situations where, you get some extreme ones, like Tapfish was one, where there were 3 children in the family. They were kind of like 7, 8, and 12, something in that category, in that range, and they somewhat knowingly, right? You could argue how much does an 8-year-old know what they're doing. As a parent of a 7-year-old, I can tell you they have no idea what they're doing. But the kids racked up about $1,200 and they maxed out their dad's credit card. And this was covered on the Jon Stewart show. And the kids were pretty unrepentant about it. They had great fun playing the game. But the app purchases they were making, it was something like $99 for some more fish for the aquarium. And you kind of look at that, and that's not many adults are going to pay that. It was a very, very simplistic game. So I think that's more on the line of some of the things that's going on in the UK with the Office of Fair Trading, investigating Apple, and whether Apple is having apps out there that kind of encourage children to make irrational purchases. We've also got things going on. We've recently just seen major changes to the 12-year-old COPPA laws, the Child's Online Privacy Protection Act. So they came about in 1998, and I think it actually went into law in 2000. And if you look back in 2000, you look to where we are now in 2013, so much has changed. It's a totally different world. There was no iPhone, there's no iPad, there were no apps. I mean, everything is really, so much has changed in that time. These laws, when you look at them from a parent, they're good. They're trying to protect the kids from giving out personally identifiable information. Makes sense. One of the challenges, though, is when you look at this generation growing up, they're growing up having always known the internet. It's always been there for them. They expect to be online. They expect to be playing games with their friends. They expect to be able to buy things. They expect to be socializing on the internet. And they're going to do it, and yet we still give them cash. So if you can't ask an under 13 for any personally identifiable information like their name, their email address, their physical address, then how can they engage, how can they actually buy something? And that's a real challenge. You've also got the situation where, a gentleman in the audience asked this question, if you make a game that may be attractive to under 13s, you have to consider COPPA, because one of the big changes that just happened with this July law that's gone into place is the multi-use site. So if you are dealing with under 13s as well as over 13s, even if it's only a very small group, you do have to consider that you now need to be age gating and checking the ages of the people who are playing your games. So there's very few payment options that work for this age group. If you go to Facebook, the 3 main payment options you'll see: credit card, PayPal, and mobile phone. So they don't have a credit card, they don't have PayPal. On the mobile phone carriers are typically charging 10 to 30% fees on this, so it's a rather expensive option. The thing that you have with all of these, though, is a kid may have a mobile phone and they may charge it. At the end of the month, the parent finds out, or maybe 2 or 3 months down the road, the parent finds out what's going on, and they stop it, because all of these methods have the same issue, which is there was no parental consent. The parent didn't agree to the child making that transaction. And these lead to friendly fraud, which is a big problem for the gaming industry. So a few years ago, we were setting out as a company, and I don't even know if Alison knows this story. We were building a gaming platform. We had a really cool technology where I could take 3 photographs of you from one side of your face and then from the front, and I could turn you into a real avatar that you could play yourself in a game. And you could take a photograph of your skateboard and you could now be on your skateboard. And we were creating a platform technology, and we suddenly occurred to us, we had these this beautiful virtual world, and it occurred to us, our main audience was under 18, and there was no way for them to buy anything. There was no way for them to make in-game purchases. And that gave us the idea behind Virtual Piggy. So what we do is it's basically a technology whereby a parent can come in and they can say, all right, you're 11 years old, I'm going to let you spend $25 a month online. These are the games you can play. These are the sites you can go to. And I know, let's say you're a teenage girl, tween girl, you love Claire's, so I'm also going to let you buy from Claire's. So it works both with retail and with gaming, which is what the kids are doing online. They're spending money on clothing and accessories and retail, and they're gaming. So it works in both areas of that. Now, the thing behind this is what we've seen in our trials of this technology is the parents love it. The parents aren't trying to say, no, 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 you can't play any games, you're never going to do that. They just need some control in the process. And this allows the parent to work with the kids to set a budget per month. And then let's say, the kid wants to have a subscription to, say, Habbo Hotel. The parent can say, fine, you can have that subscription. What we do is at the first day of every month, even if the subscription is due on the 15th of the month, we put the money aside so that the kid will not spend over that allowance per month. It empowers the kids to be able to be in control of their money and see where they're spending and make their decisions they want to make. But the parent at the end of the day has given implicit approval to any transactions that were made, and we have a full audit trail of that. So I'll give you an example, is Gaia. If you go to Gaia, you will see one of the payment options is Virtual Piggy. Now, Gaia wanted secure online payments for their under 18s, and we provided that, but they also wanted something else. They don't want to deal with the Child Online Privacy Protection Act. They want to have users who are over 13. So we help them age gate to over 13. In our system, when a parent sets up an account, they tell us the age of the child. If that child tries to make a purchase at Gaia, we stop it if they're under 13. So we're actually providing permission control technology for Gaia. The parent has given the child permission to play on the site. In the case of Gaia, they wanted us to age gate it at 13, so we're doing that as well. And this is what it looks like on the site. There's a little Virtual Piggy option down there. Actually, I was thinking I hadn't shown it you. When you go a little bit further in, confirmation of the purchase, it asks you for your username and password. Now, this is interesting. Gaia did not want to have under 13s on the site, but if you do, what we've done is we've worked very closely with the FTC out of Washington, D.C. to really understand both the original intent of COPPA and also the new changes. At the point of purchase, Virtual Piggy asks you for an identifier. It can be a numeric identifier, it can be a username and password. We instruct the parents set this up for you as a child, and we ask you don't put any identifiable information into that. So this means at the point of transaction, it's an anonymous transaction from the child. The legal contract is held between the parent and the game company, the publisher. So this is how our system sits and is compliant with US COPPA laws. Interestingly, Europe doesn't have anything like COPPA, which we found interesting. We launched in Europe in February this year. We've been in the US for a year. And they don't have anything like COPPA, but it was interesting that the way we built the system seemed to sit pretty well with the European privacy concerns. So even though there wasn't a law there, it seemed to meet what people were kind of looking for. So I think, some things we see ourselves as essentially a mobile wallet that gains the parental permission and the parental consent for the purchases. It gives the parent the ability to restrict the games, the sites, and also it's more than gaming, right? Because if you look at a credit card, you don't just use it for gaming, you can use it for any purchases. So we're also integrated with a number of retail establishments. One of the main ones we're doing a promotion with at the moment is Claire's. And I don't know how many, quick show of hands, who knows the band One Direction? All right, another great British export, huh? Well, Sony's just producing a movie. It's coming out August 30th, the One Direction This Is Us movie. And if somebody goes to Claire's, if you've got a Virtual Piggy account, you purchase anything from Claire's. Could be a $1.99 bracelet, whatever. we'll give you a free ticket to go and see This Is Us. If you refer a friend, we'll give you 2 so you can take your buddy with you. So we do these kind of promotions. We did a promo with Gaia earlier this year, which resulted in new users for Virtual Piggy, new awareness, and it also resulted in, I think, about 50,000 transactions flow through in a couple of days as a result. We're in the process of final integration with LiveGamer, and this is now going to make us available to anyone who uses, LiveGamer as their platform. We're working with PlaySpan. Hopefully we'll be integrated a little bit later this year. Habbo Hotel is going to be, they're out in about 150 countries. I think everyone probably knows Habbo Hotel. We're working with Habbo Hotel. Again, we're in the last stages of integration, and we'll be doing a promotional push with Habbo Hotel into certain territories coming up soon. Most recently, we've just signed Marvelous USA with the Exceed games. They'll be coming out soon. And Jumpstart, that build a lot of games under license for DreamWorks, including their new one, which is the Dragon training program. We're in the final integration stages with them. So you're going to start to see quite a few games out there using Virtual Piggy as their monetization platform for the under 18s. So how am I doing on my numbers? Where's the lady with the numbers? I'm done. Am I done? I'm done. So that was really all I had for you today, but I'm happy to answer any questions both here and off stage on Virtual Piggy or the COPPA laws.
I'm sure there will be plenty.
Hi.
Hi.
So we talked about the Virtual Piggy helps with collecting PII in association with a transaction, like a purchase, right? But does that then also cover a monetary transaction that gives permission for that PII to be used in, like collecting PII, like a video of a kid or an audio of a kid? Right now there's a COPPA law that if you do a monetary transaction on a credit card, that you can also include that as part of approving using the PII.
Right.
How does that connect with
So what we do is we actually isolate the merchant from collecting PII. So we allow the publisher, the game publisher, or the merchant to have a transaction with the child, which is an anonymous transaction. The child does not reveal themselves to the merchant. So that allows really any merchant to be able to sell to any under 13 in the case of COPPA, because they're not passing any PII. The way the system works is the parent sets everything up. They set up the address. So if it's a physical good, they put the address for delivery. They put the payment method, which may be, it's like a wallet, a credit card or a PayPal account. We have a special integration with PayPal. And then at the point of purchase, the kid is just, they'll put in their username and password. Some people use us for parental verification. So the fact that we can gather that the parent has said you can play that game. What we don't do is, I think what you're asking is, we don't do anything around if you've got a site and you want to have kids posting videos to that site. What we would do on that is we would gain the parents' permission that the kid could use the site. So I guess yes, it is. It does gain that parental. It is a parental check.
Really? Okay.
Great to see the service. Have you plans to extend it to mobile?
It's a great question. In terms of mobile, we're integrated into the Unity framework. So within a Unity game, you can enable Virtual Piggy. We're working with a number of companies, actually I can't say because we're not quite a contract, on the Android devices to put the technology out onto Androids. And with Apple, we have not approached Apple with this technology yet, but we do think it could solve them a world of hurt.
Okay. Nothing else? All right. Thank you very much, Joe.
All right, thanks so much.